cloud. Ooh.
Hello,
Hello,
everybody.
Sunny and Lynne. Hi, how are you? Good. Congratulations. Ah,
Thank you.
hey.
Oh, it's so good to see all these
Yes.
faces.
Ah, yeah, Caroline.
So,
So many familiar people. It's so great to have everyone here. This is wonderful.
look.
Okay, so let's jump in. And what I would love to ask, if it's okay with everyone, is to mute your microphone for now. And we're going to leave lots of time at the end for you to ask questions, Sunny, which is super exciting. But yeah, let's jump in. I'm Lynne Golodner, and I love Sunny, and I'm a friend of hers, and I'm so proud of this book that is launching tonight. And it has already launched, but it's so beautiful. Um, and I am a writing coach and author in Detroit, and I had the joy of meeting Sunny on Mackinac Island, I think is where we first met, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yep. And we've written together in Mexico, and I hope in many more places to come. But I'm so honored to have the joy of helping Sunny launch this beautiful poetry collection into the world. So, Sunny, why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about you and for anybody who may not already know you?
Yes, I'm Sunshine. I often go by Sunny. LYE is my first book. It's a poetry collection. Yes, here she is. And a little bit about me. I don't have like an academic background in poetry or creative writing. Which is something that I'm actually kind of proud of because I still found my way as a poet despite. But I actually have like a background in clinical speech pathology and did that for a while and kind of realized the pros and cons of what it represented about my passions and what it wasn't really fulfilling with me. And my passion with it was mostly about connecting people with people through communication, through expression. So it was still always about words. And so eventually found myself more in poetry. And through that, also started up a workshop group in Louisville, Kentucky called Golden Hours Workshop. And we lead monthly workshops where we try to invite writers of all levels, especially, catering to the ones who maybe have never written creatively with other people before, because I'm very passionate about making poetry accessible. Um, and so that is kind of my baby and my passion project. But
Amazing.
yeah, besides that, just a creative person who can't stop writing.
I love that. Music to my ears. So, the way tonight's going to go is Sunny and I are going to have a little conversation about her new book, and hopefully, she'll read a poem or two to us. And then we will open it up to questions from all of you. And at the very end, we will do a book giveaway where we'll give away a copy of Lie to somebody. It's a little bit of sunlight there. And we'll give away a copy of my very first book, which is a collection of poetry from a very long time ago. So two people will get to win books tonight. But you'll have to be here on the call at the very end to be in the drawing. So I hope you will all stay until the end. I put in the chat the link to buy Sunny's book if you would like to buy it. I'll put it again for anybody who hasn't seen it, and I'll keep putting it throughout the night. And I will also put the Goodreads link because if you have the book, please review it. 5 stars with all the beautiful words in the world because that also helps authors. So without further ado, Sunny, will you start by explaining to us the title, what it means to you, and maybe give a brief tour of the 3 sections of the book, where they came from and what they represent?
Yes. So the book is called Lie. Usually when I tell people about it verbally, I also want to spell it so that they know that it's lye as in the ingredient of soap, and not so much about like dishonesty. Um, so the title comes from the analogy that is carried throughout the book. So the poems are about healing from generational trauma. And so it kind of follows the analogy of soap making or cleansing yourself from a difficult past or lineage. And the statement of it is carried through the sections. So the sections are ash, water, and oil. And all of these represent different emotional experiences of trauma and healing, where ash would probably mean like the destruction of the pain, and then water would be our emotional reactions to it. And when you combine only those ingredients, what you get is lye in soap making. And lye is a necessary ingredient for soap. But if it is not added with a softening agent, such as oil, which kind of represents joy and softness and love and all of those other things that are essential for healing, then what you get is something that strips your skin and burns it. And so it's all just an analogy of, in order to really heal, really integrate ourselves from a difficult past, we have to do more than just feel our pain and react to it. That we have to think about the softness and the lightness that we're adding in its place, or to turn it into something useful or something good. Um,
I love
and
that.
so yeah, the poems or the sections just kind of walk through, and it definitely lifts as you
Yes.
read through it.
There's like a crescendo. It's like a rising wave of power through the book, I think. And it's so redemptive and celebratory by the end, which is so amazing. I've read a lot of poetry. I have an MFA in poetry. I teach a lot. And I have to say, I think this is the most complete collection of poetry that I've ever read. I just feel like it's such a journey. And I read it all in one sitting. I literally like blew off everything else I had to do. And just because I didn't want to put it down, I wanted to see what came next. So I'm just so proud of you. It's really amazing. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the process of writing and publishing a poetry book. Like how long did it take to write these poems? When did you pull the collection together? And how did you find a publisher? Tell us about that journey.
Yes. So Lie, I wrote the first poem of Lie in one hand on my phone while holding a popsicle in the other. And it was years ago, many, many years ago. It was like 2019, I think I wrote that first poem. And it kind of just came out of me from a place of needing to process something that I didn't really realize I needed to process. And so it took many years to put the collection together because I think for a long time at the beginning, what I was doing was clearing some gunk. Like I was kind of writing only for myself. And eventually that emotional process turned into more of a craft or more of like a dedication, like I was dedicated to it as a craft. And over the years, I realized, like, oh, I think I have something here that is not just for me anymore. Like, this might actually have turned into something worth sharing. Um, and so once I got through that process of just writing for me, then I started to really try to put something together. And I think it became real when one day I sat down with my phone up and all of my journals that had just caught these poems over the years and put it into a single word document. Um, but then there's the task of, okay, what order do I put these in? Which ones of these deserve to be cut or should be included? And that's when I happened upon Donna, who is in this group with us. I went to a writing workshop that she was a guest host for through Saraband, and she had just mentioned that she also offers editing. And I was thinking, oh, I need one of those. And I really like you and I really like your writing. And so I reached out to her, and she was just such a pleasure to work with. And she very kindly and knowledgeably helped me understand like what I had that was working and maybe what wasn't and all of that. But she also gave me a list of publishers like, hey, I'd recommend that reach out to these, which was an amazing thing to include in the editing process. And yeah, I did the capitalistic work of sitting down and grinding it out and sending it to everybody on the list, and was surprised that somebody actually got back to me and said, hey, we'd love to have a phone call.
That's so
And here we are.
cool. That must have felt. so amazing to do that. And did you have interest from multiple publishers or just the one? Like, how did that go?
I did have interest from multiple, but I took the first person and I don't necessarily regret it. I think it was really flattering to have anybody interested in it at all. Like I can't say I was expecting that, especially not in the first round of
Yeah,
sending things out. Like
yeah.
that was a major surprise.
We were talking before this call a little bit about how, it sounds so exciting. Wow, your book is published, it's in the world. But authors and poets really feel a lot of mixture of emotions when a book comes out. You want to speak to that a little bit too?
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. You really put so much thought into how you experience them. Like just a tiny example, when I'm writing my poems and when I'm editing them, and I recommend this to other people too, I read them out loud because I want to see what parts does my tongue trip up or whatever, like what parts are not, or maybe a little bit confusing or they're a little hard to read or whatever. And you do that enough times, and your poem kind of solidifies in your head of like, this is what it sounds like. But when you release your baby to the world, and that's just such a tiny example, but when you release it out into the world, you have to kind of divorce your expectations of how other people are going to interact with it, um, or what they're going to think of it, or even if they're going to interact with it. Like, there are some people who will never buy it, or there are some people who will buy it and it'll just sit on their shelf forever. And you just kind of have to be okay with it because you already did what you did. You created it, you put it out.
Yeah, and authors, people are going to like it or not like it, and that's really a them problem and not a you problem. Um,
Right.
I do encourage people, I'm going to put the Goodreads link in the chat for Sunshine's book because if you have it and you like it, leaving a good review is really a gift to an author. If you didn't like it, I have a personal philosophy. I never leave bad reviews. I just don't leave a review because it's so subjective what we like and what we don't like on the page. And I think we should lift up other writers as opposed to bringing any of them down. So, but there's nothing to not like about Sunny's poems. So,
Oh,
um,
thank you.
but yes. So let's go back to the poems. So it's a really strong, thoughtful collection with subject matter that can be uplifting, can be heavy, could be triggering. Um, was it hard to write about these topics, or was it cathartic, a release? Like, it seems like you maybe moved through, like you said, some trauma over the years through the poems. So, can you talk a little bit about the emotions of writing these poems?
Yes. Well, like I mentioned earlier, I at first wrote just for myself, really never with the intention of anybody laying eyes on what I was writing down. And I think that that actually served me well because it allowed me to get some pretty raw things
Mhm,
out, which I did use later in the book.
mhm,
So there's an authenticity that I got to experience with that.
mhm,
Also, as the people who are in here who know me very well can attest to, I'm a deep feeler and always have been. So it's not necessarily a foreign thing for me to like walk straight into the fog when it comes to my feelings.
mhm,
And I think that's important to do, honestly, because they say like the only way out is through.
mhm. Yeah.
And I wrote not just to like ruminate on these heavy things or let them overtake me, but actually to just kind of like look the beast in the eye
Mhm,
in order to disarm it, if
mhm,
that makes sense. That it was like, okay, well, the more I can feel these things and give them expression and turn them into something artful,
mhm,
then the more I am claiming power over it.
mhm,
And I started to notice this process of release that happened. And I would say that actually strangely, the hardest part, it wasn't, it wasn't the heaviness or the triggering, manner of it. It was actually continuing to work on the project after the release had happened
mm,
because I'm still editing poems that I just don't feel like that anymore.
sure.
And that is kind of a bizarre experience.
I'm sure it's like a different you. It's like you've already evolved, but you're revisiting, and that must be a jolt.
It is a little strange. I mean, my worry was I hope I don't overwork these poems so that the fire comes out. I
Mm,
hope that I don't, because I'm so desensitized to the rawness of it, I hope that I don't like beat that out of it and make it lose its original magic because I'm just so technical now or so clinical about it now.
yeah,
So that was kind of a challenge.
yeah, yeah. So you spent 7 years working on these poems in this collection, and you said that a lot of that time focused on what you describe as your inner battle of legitimizing your writing to yourself. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I don't have an MFA in poetry or creative writing. As I mentioned before, like for those who have joined since then, my background is in like I went to the school of medicine.
Mhm,
So I don't that academically, I don't have the validity of necessarily being able to say, okay,
mhm.
threw my cap in the air, I'm a poet. Um,
There are no caps in MFAs, I'll just tell you that.
yes. Oh, well, see, that shows what I know.
But yes, but
Um,
an MFA is not, just because you have an MFA doesn't mean you're a talented writer. It means you went through a program. So,
right,
you know,
exactly. Well,
yeah,
and like Donna just said in the chat, so many of us don't have MFAs. Words belong to everyone. I think that there's just so much like gatekeeping that happens within poetry. Like poetry can be a pretty insular world and it can be really competitive. And I think that it was a process I had to sort of pioneer for myself to realize that words belong to everyone and to realize that even if there are people who feel that they have that more like externally validating legitimacy of calling themselves a poet because they have reasons to, like those people aren't necessarily saying that I don't get to do that. That
right,
there's really nobody coming for me and saying, oh no, you're not a poet until you do this, 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 and this.
right.
So just kind of realizing that a lot of those barriers were made up and that if you write poetry, you're a poet,
Yeah,
then
for sure.
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do you feel like you can call yourself a poet today? Like,
Hmm.
you feel like you are fully inhabiting that definition?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I would also I carry that along to other people too. I think that what I used to say when I had really internalized a lot of the like capitalistic
Mhm.
yucks
Uh-huh.
around are you really a poet or are you not?
Right.
I would say like, oh, I'm not a chef just because I cook dinner. But it's like, well, why not? Like, I mean, because what is the thing? Do you have to earn money in order for that to be what you are? Or can you call yourself a chef because you cook dinner? I mean,
I mean,
it's just really not that deep,
yeah, it's about how you define yourself and not letting
Mm,
other people define you, but
yeah.
taking that power back into yourself for sure. I loved what you said about making poetry accessible, and I found that too when I was younger, especially when I was in college, and I felt like, and I took literature courses, and the professor was like, "This poem means this," and I'm like, "I don't see that at all. Like, it means this to me." And it took me a while to be able to believe in my own interpretation and connection with the words. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about your perspective, especially in the workshop that you put together about making poetry accessible and open to belong to everyone. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yes. I have a very strong opinion that poetry is not what it largely has a reputation for being in modern America. I think, when you look at the roots of poetry, at least American poetry, it has strong roots in indigenous storytelling, Black slavery storytelling. And then you have like a trickle of like 17th century European colonialists who kind of made it more standardized or academic. But I just, what I kind of noticed the more I really got into poetry was I saw that there's sort of this like stigma almost, and not in every circle, but a lot of times where it's like slam poetry isn't really poetry, or spoken word is a sub version of poetry. And I just very strongly disagree with that. I think that, like looking back on zines being the way that we would spread poetry, to like get revolutions going in the country and stuff. It just, poetry is not this like, oh, you have to write in iambic pentameter in order for it to be a real poem. Like it's a language of the heart. It's universal. And not only that, but it has always been a storytelling manner that just connects people to people, and that's that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been in circles where it's been a little cliquey, within the poet world, and then others where I have felt like very accepted and have gotten warm reception. And just the more I experienced that, the more I felt really passionate about playing a role in making sure that I was creating the kind of spaces that I liked and
Yeah.
that I wanted and that felt safe and good to me.
That's amazing.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I went to an open mic in Louisville, having never been to one before. And just because I'm shameless and extroverted, I shared and I didn't really feel nervous about it. But when I went home, I just couldn't shake the feeling of like, not everyone is like that though. And I don't even say that like, in any kind of, with any arrogance in my heart. It was just like, man, what if I was shy? What
Yeah.
if I hadn't gone through this whole, journey, this inner battle of legitimizing that
Yeah.
yes, I am a poet. And so I just wanted to create something in my city that could represent maybe like a stepping stone to something like getting in front of a microphone and sharing your art with people, because I
Yeah.
want to see that happen more.
For sure.
So that's when I started Golden Hours, really blind, no idea what to expect it to become.
Uh-huh.
But it's specifically geared toward introverted people, people who have never done it before,
Mhm.
um, just to try to create safe, creative space for people.
So beautiful. That's awesome. That is great. So do you want to read a poem or two to us and we can enjoy your beautiful voice?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Let me see. So I will share.
Do you want me to put the poem on the screen too?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Let me see if I can multitask. That would be really great. Uh,
Trying to decide first if I want to share the very first poem that I wrote for LYE or one that kind of encapsulates more of what the whole thing is about.
Okay. Just tell me
So
what page it's on and I will share a screen then.
I will share Mothers on page 73.
Okay, hold on. Let me get there. Oops.
This is not the first poem I wrote. That one is on page 26 and it's called Frail. And that one was actually published in an anthology, a Louisville anthology. And I think that a fun fact about that one is it's on page 26 and it has exactly 26 words. And I don't know if they planned that, but
That's really neat.
anyway, this one is called Mothers. One chain runs the line of my mothers, ankle to ankle, generations, shuffling, believing every word their fathers said. Mother, in 1990, I twisted in your stomach. I pressed against the walls and cried, surely the key to your shackles is hidden in your mouth. Mother, I have a father too. His words clipped my tongue, and as my belly filled with blood, I ran. Away from him, away from our line of mothers who believed every word their fathers said.
Mm, beautiful. Can you tell us a little bit about that poem, the inspiration or anything that you think about
Yes.
it?
So that one was a very, came from a very deep place. So for those of you who haven't gotten the book or read it yet, Lie is a combination of poems mixed with memories that read as like screenplays.
Mhm.
And so they feed into each other. At least that's the intention, is that, you'll get sort of like a voyeuristic view of a life experience and then poems that synthesize it
Mhm.
or integrate it into, processing it.
Mhm.
Um, and so this poem comes either directly before or directly, no, Yeah, it's in between actually, a scene where I am actually literally running away.
Mm,
And, by the time we get to this poem in the book, I'm definitely processing a lot about how my pain doesn't exist alone and how it is actually generational and it's very feminine in the cyclic nature of it.
mhm,
And so a lot of what I do is I empathize with my mom and with my grandmother and the women who came before me, um, and just understanding how our pain all plays together in a much larger story and seeing how we're connected by it, but we're also connected in our healing too.
mhm.
And so, yeah, it's like some poems encapsulate that healing and more of the triumph of moving forward, and some encapsulate the heartbreak more so than others.
For
And
sure.
I think that this one kind of starts to edge in between the two.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you want to maybe do one more and then we can open to questions?
Sure.
Okay.
So
Going to give me a page number and I'll share again.
I will do the one on 74, which comes immediately after it. It's called Generations.
All right, let's share. Hold on. All righty.
Waves lick the debris along the coastline, pulling wreckage back, rolling it forward again. And this is how it happens, how eternal effort covers no distance. Hurt daughters become hurt mothers, can only see themselves in hurting men, so they breed perfectly hurting daughters. And God, does it feel as rough as dying to be anything other than hurt in this corrosive tide? So we lather with lye, burn, rinse, repeat.
Mm. Mm. I love the way this one looks on the page too. Is there anything about that that was like, was it intentional? You wanted that sort of
Yes.
picture that,
So I wanted it to, I pay a lot of attention to form. I like to break up poems, that aren't just columns after column on a page.
hmm
Um, and so this one, I wanted the form to mimic the natural phenomenon that it's talking about.
hmm
Because I was just sort of thinking about when you're standing on a shoreline and you've got your feet kind of like halfway in,
hmm
and the tide like kind of comes over your ankles and then it pulls back. And if you've ever seen that before, you can see like if you can find like one shell, for example, or one rock or something,
hmm
and you can see how it just kind of is endlessly tumbling back and forth. And it's caught in this current and it's doing this.
hmm
And when I wrote this poem, I was thinking about that visual, because it actually came to mind when I was thinking about the feeling that I was connecting to of like the generational experience of just seeing like, gosh, like this has happened for ages and ages and ages. And we just, hurt back and forth forever.
Yeah,
Um, and it's just that I wanted to encapsulate like that toiling of like, man, we're always moving, but if we're not going anywhere is what it feels like when you're just turning it over and over and over. And so I wanted the form to look like that wave,
yeah,
um, and like the physics of what I was trying to describe.
yeah. You did such a great job with that. It was
Thank
it just
you.
it accosts you both in the words and the language, but then the visual is so rich and so
Thank
strong. Let's open to questions from our beautiful audience. Um, you can either raise your hand with that little raise hand at the bottom of the screen, or you could just unmute and jump in and ask Sunshine a question. Luan? Yeah.
Oh, me?
Yes,
Hi.
Luan.
Hi, Sunny. Congratulations. Nice to
Hi,
see everybody
Lynn.
here. I see friends from Iceland and San Miguel. So my question is, when we first met in San Miguel, you were telling me you want to write maybe it's your next project, poem, and with a QR code, you scan it, people can listen to the music while reading this poem. I think that's so like creative. I
Mhm.
wonder what's the process of that.
It is so strangely complicated. And fun fact, I actually had looked into incorporating that idea with LYE. Um, because I really love the idea of something being like multi-sensory,
Mhm.
and I wanted to find some way to make LYE a hybrid experience where it wasn't just poems. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I just wanted to see what else I could bring to it. Um, and so yeah, like what Lynne is describing is I wanted to have like a poem, and then all of a sudden, with no explanation, you see a QR code on the bottom of the page, and then you're like, oh, what's that? And you scan it, and it goes to like a song
Mm,
that either sounds like what the poem feels like, or maybe the lyrics would have something to do with it, or whatever.
mhm.
And so yeah, I asked my press, I was like, could I do this? This is crazy. And they entertained the idea and they were like, well, you could do it, but the QR code could never break. Like, print is forever. And so your QR code would have to go to a web page that just forever exists. And I didn't know how I felt about the idea of keeping a website with the link could never change, you know?
Yeah.
And that just felt like stressful. So maybe I could do it through like my own website, maybe a chapbook or something. I haven't given up on the idea because I've never seen anybody else do it. I mean, I don't know if something like that exists and I just haven't seen it, but I think that would be so cool.
So we'll stay tuned for the next launch when you do
Yeah.
these creative things. That's awesome.
Thank
I
If
think
it's
you.
that or something else, I don't know. But
I think Beth has a question. Beth Rutledge, yeah?
Um, Sunny, congrats.
thank you.
I loved this so much. I am a nervous reader of poetry because I don't know very much about poetry. So, I was uncertain of whether what if this was for me or not for me. But your word choices are so exquisite and so well thought. And of course, the story of generational trauma um, just resonates. But I wanted to ask you about your choice to have these kind of like the screenplays as the connective tissue. Did
Mhm.
you did you do that at the same time as you were writing your poems, or did you think, oh, I think this is going to hold it together?
That's a really good question. They came a little bit later, so it wasn't the last thing I wrote, but I would say that it was after I got a huge wave of poetry out of me and started to kind of realize what I might have had. Um, I started doing it mostly because I kind of wanted to make the reader uncomfortable, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
I wanted something that would remove that safe layer of poetry between what happened and what I'm making of it now. Like I wanted to just put it out there in a very frank way of like, hey, here's and so that's why I chose yeah, exactly, Donna. They remove the veil of metaphor, they tell it plain.
Mm,
Um Yeah, I think I kind of wanted something to simulate what trauma actually is, where there is no art
mm,
to it. There is nothing beautiful about it. It just is. It just happened. And so I chose like play scenes or movie scenes because it's not very flowery. It's very like, and then he said this, and then she did this, and then this is how old they were, and this is where they were, and it's just the facts. Um, and so I know that, my poetry has a voice of being very direct. I'm not typically a very flowery writer. I kind of just like punch it out there. But I just wanted something that was even more that way. And so, yeah, I kind of thought of that as a way to do it and just sort of stuck with it, just ran with it.
Who else has a question? Either do the raise hand thing or unmute and throw it at us.
I don't really have a question, I guess. I just wanted to heap a little praise on you, Sunny. It was a beautiful book, and I, like Lynn, read it from beginning to end in one sitting.
Oh
And
my
it
God.
did feel like a wave of emotion. And there was something about it's on page 26, I think, or 29, Frail, the poem Frail.
That's the first one I wrote. That's the
I,
first poem
I
that
was
I
going to ask you, was that one of the early ones that you wrote? Because there's something that is so very universal about it's just the simplicity of it, but also just the sadness and the relatability and universality of that, especially as women too. And I wanted to know if that was one of your early ones. Is that something that kind of kicked off this the journey of like, here is where I began and here is, where I'm going, and then how you ended on an uplifting, you know, kind of ending. I wanted to hear a little bit more about what inspired Frail. It was one of the ones that stood out to me and I really loved it.
I love that. I love that you picked out that that's one of the earlier ones. Um, yeah, that's incredible. That the weird thing about that poem is it's only what, two, it's only
Oh,
7 lines long.
yeah. Mhm.
And I thought about making it longer, but it said what it said and I was done, you know? And so
Mhm.
I didn't try to keep going with it. But yeah, this is one of those poems that just happened at me. Like it didn't even really feel consensual, like the experience of coming up with this poem. It was a summer day. It was a happy day with my partner at the time, and I was eating a popsicle, and I was so sad. And I
That's the one
didn't,
on the phone with the popsicle.
yep. hmm Yeah. Which actually is funny because I mentioned that popsicle moment in another poem that I published recently in Astralis Journal, which Donna is a co-editor for. Um, but yeah, it was just one of those poems that was kind of like, I guess the analogy of like a cup that's filled all the way to the brim, you move it ever so slightly and it's gonna overpour.
Mhm.
That's kind of what my sadness must have been in that moment because it was like it took more than a sunshiny popsicle day with live music for me to be okay. And that poem just kind of like came out of me. And I think it was just memory that was ready to be processed.
Mhm.
Oh, thanks for the link, Donna. Yeah, check out the journal. It's so good. They publish art and flash and all kinds of creative writing, and it's beautiful. But
Awesome.
um, yeah, it was just so strange that that was a little bit of sadness that just needed to be expressed, even on a really happy day.
Mm,
It
awesome.
was very beautiful. So few words, just succinctly, and so it just hit you in the heart. Yeah.
Thank you. Means a lot.
Awesome. Tina, did you want to ask your question?
Yeah. So as you're working through getting these thoughts into the poetry that we have before us in this book, I was just curious about how that work affected kind of your healing journey that the writing was intended to do, both for yourself and for the reader. Like, how did that change your trajectory in processing the feelings that you were pouring onto the page?
I I love that. I think that what started out as me wanting to see myself clearer turned into I hope that other people can see themselves in what I'm writing. And so there was kind of like this shift of not so much wanting to be understood by my poetry, but just wanting to write poetry to understand and for other people to read to understand, if that makes sense. Like, because yeah, it's like this book, one would think that I think that it's about me. And it is, I guess, but it's not really. It's about something so much more. It's about everybody, I think. Um, and so yeah, over time it eventually turned into I guess kind of like a brave work of putting my feelings out there so that like almost as like exhibit A, exhibit B, here's this feeling, here's this experience. Like I just wanted um to put it out there to hopefully make other people feel seen in that experience or feeling.
Mm,
And that became my goal more so over time than anything else.
mm, awesome. Anybody else have a question or anything you'd like to share with Sunshine? Should we give away a book or two?
Let's give away a book or two.
Sunny, I just want to say hello.
Hi, Caroline. How are you?
I haven't read your book yet, but I'm going to. I'm no poetry guru, let me tell you, but I did enjoy those poems that you read. They're
Oh,
very,
thank you. There's no
they're,
such thing as a poetry guru, so don't worry.
they're very you, knowing you having met you in San Miguel. They're very you.
Oh,
Well,
thank
Well
Caroline,
you.
done.
there's 3 links in the chat to buy the book from the press, from Barnes and Noble, and from Amazon. So please buy, everybody buy lots of copies and gift them to people and send Sunshine's book to #1 in poetry and all of that. So
I think we might have, sorry, Lynn, to interrupt you. I think we had one more question in the
yeah,
chat from Nearly.
yeah.
Um,
Okay, I missed the beginning of this, so you might have already had this question, but I just wanted to know, like, um, having completed this giant project for yourself, I kind of just wanted to ask, like, how does it feel to have, like, completed it? Like, how does it feel for you to be having this release? How does it feel for you to be like ushering it into the world and to have birthed it? And like, what if you have like one sentence? Could you give us a sentence about your feeling?
one sentence, it feels surreal. And I wish I had words. Like even when people reach out to me and it's like a picture of them holding it or it's on their kitchen table and they're like, look what came in the mail today. I kind of just like send a bunch of like letters and exclamation points because I don't know I don't know how to it's ironic like I'm a writer. I don't know what to say about that feeling because it's like oh my gosh, thank you. I'm so grateful. I'm so excited. I want to say I hope you enjoy it, but I also know that in a lot of ways my book is pretty devastating, so that doesn't really seem appropriate to say. And it's just like I just feel very celebratory and proud, and it's so weird. It's so weird,
Mm.
but in a really good way. Like, I don't know. I think the weirdest thing was like holding it, was getting it and being like, oh, there it is. I had thought about what it might look and feel and smell like, and now I have my answer. It's
Yeah.
just bizarre.
What are you working on next? Do you have another project that you've started?
I have a dream of editing an anthology and releasing it at the same time. It's so ambitious and silly, but I I do have another project and I have a title for it and everything, and it's going to be weird and different. And I'm hoping to basically, I want to release some poems that give like a personal experience of grief and liberation while also releasing an anthology that gives a more collective representation of grief and liberation at the same time.
Nice.
Because I think that those are things that are happening a lot
Mhm.
right now, and that the collective is kind of all feeling in their own ways. And to the extent that poetry is history,
Mhm.
documentation, like emotional history, I would love to do that. So that's kind of what I'm tinkering with right now.
So we'll have to mark our calendars for like a year from now when we can celebrate you again. So,
Yeah, a year, sure.
all right, year, 2, whatever, we'll be here. So
We'll see how
everybody
fast I can be, how dedicated.
leave your calendars open because Sunshine's coming
Right.
back with something else. So that's awesome. All right, let's award some books. And so when we announce the winners, if you could message me or Sunshine with your address so we can send the copy of the book to you, that would be amazing. So how do we want to do this? Do you want to start with a giveaway of your book?
Sure, let's go for it.
Okay.
So should I say a random number?
Sure. From, I guess, do 3 through 25, random number.
18.
Okay, hold on. That's Meg Baldwin. So, Meg, you are winning a copy of LYE, which is
I
amazing.
had a feeling it was going to be me. I have it already, so you can give it to somebody else.
All right, then Meg, you get to win a copy of my book, so I'll send that to you. So,
Oh, okay.
yes.
But Sunny, I loved it. It was absolutely beautiful.
Thank you so much, Meg. It's so funny you had a feeling it was going to be you.
Because I knew since I bought it already, it had to be me. Like that's just the way things work, you know what I mean? So,
All right.
That is so funny.
So, Meg, you get a copy of my very first book from 1996. I will send that to you.
okay, awesome.
Sunny, what other number are you going to pick so we can have somebody win your book?
Let's see. 14.
I knew you were going to pick that, actually. That's Karen Hildebrandt. I swear to God, I looked at her name and I'm like, it's going to be Karen. That's
How
so
do you
funny.
guys keep knowing what I'm going to say?
I don't know.
Well, I just bought it, so you've got to find somebody else.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, is there some sort of anonymous, non-pressury, no guilt, no shame way that we can know who hasn't gotten a copy of it yet?
Don't know. We don't want to shame people, right? And the truth is, you could, so I think everybody should buy the book. And if you win one, why don't you gift it to someone?
There you go.
So, Karen, can we send it to you and you'll gift it to someone who will appreciate it?
Well, can't you just at least try one more person? Maybe
One more person. Okay.
Okay, let's see. 7.
Okay, let's see. That is Beth Rutledge. And Beth, do you have it? You're still muted, Beth. Oh my God, you're holding
it up right now.
Okay, but I would love it because I have a friend that I would love to give this to.
Yeah,
So
there we go.
I will accept this because I will be giving it away. So,
okay. I think it's amazing that all of you have it. I think that is such a show of support and it's beautiful and absolutely we all should buy a copy and then gift it. So that's amazing. So Beth,
actually the friend that I'm giving it to, she is a poet. So she will love it.
Awesome.
Okay, well, maybe does she have a book that's out, or can this be like a mutual support moment?
I know she's published poems before in journals, but she doesn't have a book.
Okay.
But her name is Isabel Shepherd. So but she is going to be getting a copy of this when I get another one. So thank you.
That's awesome.
So Beth, if you could get your mailing address to Sunshine, that would be awesome.
Can do.
Yes.
We'll do that. Yeah, I'll email you, Sunny.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So wonderful. Anybody else have questions or comments for Sunny before we say goodbye?
Just wanted to say great job, and we're so proud of you and so happy to be along with you on this journey and seeing all of your dreams come true with the book.
Thank you so much. Oh gosh, I'm feeling such support and love. Thank you all.
Just so proud of you, Sunny. It's so beautiful, and I wish you tons of success and awards, and I can't wait for the next one to come out. So thank you for letting us honor you and celebrate your immense talent, and we're along for the ride for whatever's next.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.